I'm pleased to introduce our distinguished panel of transportation planning experts. Speaking first tonight will be David Hutchinson, Executive Director of the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization. David has been serving as Executive Director since 2015. Previously, he was the Planning Manager at the MPO for 4 years. David has a BS in Environmental Studies from Utah State University and is a member of the American Planning Association Institute of Transportation Engineers and the Congress for New Urbanism. All right. Take it away, David.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Colleen. I'm going to take a few minutes and give you the quick version of the MPO Metropolitan Transportation Planning process. And we'll go through a few slides so that you'll have an idea of what the MPO is and what the MPO does and how you can get involved. Well, here we go. Many of you will recall the construction of the interstate highway system around the United States, and this is somewhat related to how MPOs got started, because as the interstate highways got built out across the country in the 50s and 60s, people would wake up and find a bulldozer out behind their home or their business or neighborhood, and they would wonder, well, what's going on? And they would contact their mayor or their elected official, who would contact their congressman, and they'd say, oh, we're building a highway. You should know about this. So eventually, because of the need for better coordination, Congress passed in the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1962 requirements for a federal transportation planning process that involves local officials in the process. So our Sarasota Manatee urbanized area consists of Sarasota and Manatee counties and all of the jurisdictions within the two counties. We have also an airport, a seaport, and 2 transit agencies, and all modes of transportation are involved in this process. Our MPO governing board is made up of 17 voting members, all but one an elected official, and the remaining person being an appointed official. I would like to recognize Vice Mayor Alpert, who's here this evening, and one of your members who serves on the MPO board, representing and the MPO governing board oversees this process with the charge of planning for a safe, efficient, financially feasible, environmentally sensitive, regional integrated multimodal transportation system that supports sustainable, livable communities and economic development. And apple pie too. But our MPO is the regional transportation entity for the 2 counties, and it's established through state and federal laws to provide a process for local governments within the region to coordinate with the Florida Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, and the Federal Transit Administration. And some of the issues that MPOs, well, actually we skipped a slide, I guess. Okay, no, MPOs are involved in many, many things, and I'm not going to go into all of these, but needless to say, our work involves numerous partnerships involving communities and jurisdictions and agencies. Our board doesn't do this all by themselves. They have the assistance of a technical advisory committee, which is made up of engineers and planners representing their respective jurisdictions. We have a citizens advisory committee with 28 members that represent citizens from throughout the entire region, and we also have a bicycle, pedestrian, and trails advisory committee made up of representatives from throughout the whole region. And they review many of the plans, and they make recommendations to the MPO board. And throughout this entire process, there are public involvement opportunities. All of the MPO's business is conducted in accordance with the Florida Sunshine Laws, so there's an opportunity for the public to speak at the meetings, to participate in this process. The MPO is the producer of many plans. We have a 25-year out into the future, 30-year out into the future, long-range transportation plan. We also adopt annual priorities in accordance with the long-range plan, and if those are selected for funding, then they make it into our Transportation Improvement Plan, or the TIP, which is a 5-year plan that's consistent with and works in coordination with the Florida Department of Transportation State Transportation Improvement Plan, or 5-year work program. We have a 2-year Unified Planning Work Program, which serves as our operating budget and a document that guides our planning activities over a 2-year period. And we have a public participation plan and produce numerous other plans and studies, one of which you're going to hear a little bit more about tonight. And we're not producing that study, but we helped get it off the ground and asked the Florida Department of Transportation to conduct it. That's the Barrier Island Transportation Study. So one of the most important things the MPO does every year is adopt project priorities, and I wanted to talk just briefly about those. Some of the projects that are underway or soon will be in the Sarasota area are projects that have gone through the MPO prioritization process to obtain a certain amount of federal funding. And these projects are brought forward by the respective jurisdictions, and if it's a fully local project, then of course those priorities are set at the local level. One thing to keep in mind is that a project can take 10 to 15 years to complete, and that's concept to concrete, and that's if the funds are available. And one of the issues that we face within the region and the state and the nation is that there are a lot more transportation needs that have been identified than there are funds to build everything that people would like or think they would like. So another big concern these days is safety, and one of the solutions to intersection crashes is roundabouts. So you'll hear a little bit more about roundabouts tonight. And they do play a role within the region that will help us reduce crashes and make for less severe crashes. The ability to take something besides the road is important. I don't know how many of you walked here this evening or didn't come in a car.
Wow.
If we can get to where every group has that many people not coming in their cars, we have solved the problem. So you're part of the solution by living in a dense urban downtown. Transit's going to be part of the solution. And the way that we develop our land use and do development approvals is also part of the solution. And I think, again, the city of Sarasota has been very forward-thinking in its plan to have a walkable downtown and access to the bayfront. So more good things to come in downtown Sarasota. And it's not just the younger people who are saying they don't want to drive everywhere and they'd like to, have a new type of city available to them. A lot of older people would also not want to have to take their car every time they need to go to the grocery store. Another item I'd like to just mention is the state has recognized the value of regional trail systems and statewide trail systems. And within our region, the what is called the Suncoast Trail, which is a state project that will fund $25 million of trail projects annually to build out a statewide system of trails to benefit local communities plus the economy. That regional trail in our area is called the Gulf Coast Trail, and it's going to come right through downtown Sarasota, connecting the Legacy Trail coming up from the south, a segment of the Suncoast Trail or Gulf Coast Trail that will come in somewhere broadly in the Fruitville corridor from the east, and then another segment that comes downtown from Payne Park will connect out to the Barrier Islands and up to Highway 64 in Manatee County and eventually to Hillsborough.
Which is what you're talking about?
Let's see, I know there's a pointer on here somewhere. This is the overall trail that comes in from Hillsborough County and will come in through Palmetto, Bradenton, out 64, down the Barrier Islands. It may or may not be a 10-foot wide separated trail in all segments of this, but the overall route will go down into Payne Park, connect to the city's MERT trail, multi-use regional trail, and then connect to the Legacy Trail that will connect down to Charlotte County and eventually all the way down to Naples. There will be a connection across the state. There's also connections out east and further north, other statewide trail connections. And that is I told you it would be quick, so that's the overview from the MPO standpoint. And again, it's partnership. We work with your jurisdiction and their leaders to try to keep our area eligible for federal funds and to get as much of those funds in our area as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. And thank you for staying on time. That made my job very easy. Our next speaker